Welcome back to Math 103. This is video number 15 on measuring power. Recall our example based on the U.S. Electoral College with only 4 states, New York with 29 electoral votes, Pennsylvania with 20, New Jersey with 14, and Delaware with 3. For purposes of this example, we've set the quota at 36 votes. So since 36 is the quota, what has to be true about the total weight of the players to the left of Delaware in a sequential coalition in order for Delaware to be the pivotal player? Well, for Delaware to be pivotal means that the players to the left of Delaware don't have 36 votes yet, but Delaware's arrival brings them up to 36 or a little bit higher. That means that if the players to the left of Delaware have 33 votes so far, then Delaware's contributing 3 more will make the total 36. Right? That will make Delaware pivotal. Or if the preceding players have 34 votes, Delaware's 3 will give them the 36 or more that they need. And finally, if the previous players have 35 votes total, then Delaware's arrival will be pivotal. Delaware will give them the votes they need to reach 36. If the sum of the players to the left of Delaware were only 32, then Delaware would not contribute enough votes to create a winning coalition. And similarly, if the players to the left of Delaware already had 36, well, they wouldn't need Delaware. So the only way Delaware ends up being pivotal is if the players to the left have a total of 33 or 34 or 35 votes. Now, how would that actually happen in our scenario? Well, if you've got New York followed by Pennsylvania, or Pennsylvania followed by New York, they'll have 49 votes and they won't need Delaware. Similarly, New York and New Jersey, or New Jersey and New York, between the two of them, they'll have 43 electoral votes. They don't need Delaware to join in. But if you have Pennsylvania followed by New Jersey, or the other way around, they have only 34 votes between them, so they do need Delaware to show up, right? So 34 was one of those possible vote totals of the preceding players, such that Delaware's arrival would be pivotal. So it can happen that the players to the left of Delaware have just the right number of votes to make Delaware pivotal. Note also that if Delaware were to be preceded by either just one player, in other words, if Delaware appeared in the second spot in the sequence, then there's no player that added to Delaware's 3 votes would give us enough votes to achieve 36. And similarly, if Delaware appeared all the way at the end, if Delaware were preceded by all 3 other players, well, by the time all 3 other states have pooled their votes, they certainly have enough votes to win. So the only way Delaware ever ends up being pivotal is by being in the 3rd position and by being preceded by Pennsylvania and New Jersey, or New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Now, that decision to set the quota at 36 seemed to come out of nowhere in particular. What if the quota were 34? Let's see the effect that has on Delaware's actual share of the power. So which states would have to precede Delaware in order for Delaware to be pivotal? The answer is that there is actually no way for Delaware to be pivotal here, right? Because if you had New York by itself, that would be just 29 votes. So New York followed by Delaware would not be a situation where Delaware was pivotal. If you had New York followed by Pennsylvania, we've seen that that's a total of 29 plus 20 equals 49 votes. Right? We've seen that New York followed by New Jersey would give us 29 plus 14 equals 43 votes, so they would already have achieved the quota. And now here's the real kicker. If you had Pennsylvania followed by New Jersey, or in the other order, so we've already seen that that gives us 34 votes, but now they've already achieved the quota, which means that they don't need Delaware. So the only way Delaware could have been pivotal is if there were some way of achieving a vote total that was either 1 vote, 2 votes, or 3 votes short of the quota. That's the only way that Delaware's 3 votes could make all the difference. But there is no configuration here where the preceding players would land just short of the quota. And therefore, the conclusion, Delaware is a dummy. So Delaware actually has no opportunities to be pivotal here, and therefore it exercises no actual power. It's worth pointing out that Banzhaf will come to the same conclusion, but Shapley and Shubik give us another way of thinking about and detecting dumminess. Very well, so we know that at the beginning of this setup of this new four-state country, Delaware should not agree to having the quota set at only 34. That would be unacceptable. That would make Delaware a dummy. Instead, Delaware liked the idea of the quota being set at 36. Well, as we're exploring different possibilities here, if 34 was too small a quota and 36 worked out better for Delaware, how does 38 work out? Well, think for a minute before going on. What should the vote total be for the preceding players so that Delaware's 3 votes are what will bring them up to 38 or a little bit higher? What could that preceding total be? That preceding total would have to be 35, 36, or 37. But these can't be achieved as the preceding total number of electoral votes. There is no configuration. We've looked at all the configurations. There's no configuration of states to the left of Delaware in the sequence that would result in a total prior to Delaware showing up of exactly 35 or exactly 36 or exactly 37, and these are the only preceding totals that would make Delaware's 3 bring us up to 38, or just slightly higher than 38. Conclusion, again, Delaware is a dummy. So that's actually rather interesting, because 34 was too little, and 38 is too much. 36 is just right by the Goldilocks principle or something like this. Right? So the setting the quota has a huge impact on how much power each player has, right? And that it doesn't even follow a simple rule of the sort that, well, and once it's big enough, then you're okay making it even larger. No. 36 worked out for Delaware, but 38 does not, and 34 does not. So whenever this kind of a system gets established, a very careful analysis has to be done of just how to set the quota and what its consequences will be. So Delaware has mostly been getting a raw deal in the examples we've looked at. Let's move to the other end of the spectrum, and before going on to the next video, consider how high must the quota be raised to give Delaware veto power. I claim that if you raise the quota high enough, Delaware will actually have veto power. So keeping in mind that the weights are still 29, 20, 14, and 3, think what the quota would need to be to make that happen.